Tyler and Charlie knocked on Dottie Drake's apartment door. They heard noises behind the door, and then a voice. "It's very late. Who is it?" "It is me again," said Ty. "Tyler, you. Sorry to bother you, but it is very important." The door opened slowly. Dottie Drake stood there, wrapped in a red robe. "I was asleep," she said, yawning, patting a pile of hair. Charlie noticed that the woman's cheeks were still pink. "Are you wearing makeup, Miss Drake?" he asked. Miss Drake's eyes grew wide. "What on earth are you?" "You said you were asleep, but you're wearing makeup," Charlie said. "Just like you were when we first saw you." "Artists always wear makeup," she said. "When they sleep," said Charlie. "I think you're wearing makeup because you were expecting company. And you weren't sleeping just now either." "Tyler, your friend is an insulting little bore," said Miss Drake. "And I think you know what happened to Mr. Madagascar," said Charlie. "I am going to bed," said Miss Drake. She tried to shut the door, but Charlie stopped her. "The police are coming," said Charlie. "The youths are calling them. Don't you want to hear what I have to say before they get here?" "I don't know what you're talking about," Miss Drake said. "Just come over to the window," said Charlie. The three of them walked down the hall to the window where Mr. Madagascar had jumped. Charlie raised his eyebrow at Tyler. "Yeah, I see it now," said Ty. "The drapes are red. They match the color of Miss Drake's bath bathrobe." "So?" Miss Drake said. "That's right," said Charlie. "When you and I came over to the window and saw that Mr. M had vanished, I saw that your gown matched the drapes. Red. In fact, if you look, all the drapes in the hall windows are red. But Mr. M jumped out of the window. They were purple." "You must be mistaken," said Miss Drake. "No, I saw it too," said Ty. "So when I wondered how red drapes had turned purple," said Charlie. He walked back down the hall towards the intersection where Ty had been hit. Then Charlie turned to his left and walked down the side hall. He stopped at the end next to the window. "Look at this," said Charlie. Ty ran up to him. Miss Drake slowly followed. "Purple," said Ty. "But how?" The boy leaned out the window to the right. They saw the blue neon sign of the rabbit and the magician's head. "Blue and red make purple," said Charlie. "That's how." "And look down there," said Ty. A few feet below the window was a white ledge that ran along that side of the hotel. If someone jumped out this window, they landed on that ledge, and we all thought he jumped out the other window," said Charlie. "Well, there was a straight drop to the street. It was an amazing magic trick," said Dottie Drake. "Yes, it was," said Charlie, "but not a trick of levitation or floating. It was a trick of mirrors." "Just like Bragg's trick in the elevator," said Ty, nodding. "Bragg said the hotel's walls were full of magic," said Charlie, "and I believed it. If a magician built this place, why wouldn't he put all kinds of tricks and illusions for the fun of the guests?" "How come I didn't know about them?" Ty asked. Charlie shrugged. "Over all the years, I'm sure many of them were forgotten, but Mr. M is a magician himself. He knows what to look for." Charlie led them back to the intersection of the two hallways. He carefully examined one of the corners. "Look," he said triumphantly. "This pulls out." He gripped a small handle hidden in the wooden molding on the corner's edge. Out came a panel as tall as the wall itself. Smoothly it glided over to the opposite corner, forming an angle in the hallway. The secret panel was a single huge mirror. "Another magic trick," said Tai. From where the two boys had stood at Miss Drake's apartment, it looked as if they were staring straight down the hall. But instead, the mirror was reflecting the side hall. It was the real hallway that Mr. Madagascar had run from. He had thrown himself out the side of the window and safely landed on the ledge, but a mirror had tricked his small audience into believing he had jumped out the other window and disappeared. "It is still a good trick," said Dotty Drake sadly. "A magnificent trick," boomed a voice behind them. Mr. Madagascar stepped out from Miss Drake's apartment. "And no one else had thought of it," he said. He walked up to Tai and Charlie. "A man jumps out of a window and disappears 14th floor above the ground." "Good one, huh?" said the magician. "Yes," said Charlie. "But why?" "This was supposed to be the beginning of my comeback," Mr. Madagascar said. "I wanted to perform one last show, one astounding trick that would go down in the history books." "So you planned all of this?" asked Tai. "Of course I did," said Mr. Madagascar. "I waited for you to come up to my apartment and I wanted you to follow me. I had everything all set up, and the lovely Miss Drake had helped me by providing some misdirection." He winked at Dotty, who blushed. "Right, misdirection, like Brad performed earlier," thought Charlie, when he pointed towards the lobby and said, "Now you see him, now you don't." He made us turn around so he could see the two fake mirror walls in the elevator. "So Miss Drake's dream was the misdirection," said Tai. "I always had a good voice for that," Miss Drake said proudly, putting her hand to her throat. "And while I screamed and fainted, the mirror wall slid back into the corner." "It's on a timer," Mr. Madagascar explained. Tai laughed. "So the guy who knocked me down was me," he said. "My own reflection." He flexed his muscle and added, "I knew he looked tough." A low hum rumbled in the hall. The mirror glided back into the corner and snapped into place. And outside the building a siren wailed. "I didn't break any laws," said Mr. Madagascar. "But the police still want to know what happened," said Tai. "Do they have to know tonight?" asked the magician. "Give me 24 hours. Give me time to have the headlines proclaim my trick to the world. Then I will reappear to make a statement to the press." "And you have the best publicity in the world," said Charlie, smiling. "Exactly," said Mr. Madagascar. "Publicity, and then I can plan my final performance and end with the window trick." The magician and the performer assistant looked at the boys. "My fate, our fate is in your hands," said Mr. Madagascar. Tai glanced over at Charlie and then back at the magician. "As long as I get this month's rent," Tai said. "Deal," exclaimed Mr. Madagascar. "Now come to my room and I'll give you your cash." Tai pumped his fist in the air. "Yeah," he said. "Slam hammer." Mr. Madagascar looked confused, but he put his fist in the air too. "Indeed, slam hammer," he said.